Hey everyone. Welcome to the weekly recap of More Than Just Task Management, your favorite daily podcast that helps you build a thriving and successful business. I'm Anna Angelova, one of the co-hosts and the business coach and consultant. And I have Joris Miosan with me for a second time, well, third time this week actually, because we started on Sunday. Hey Joris, good
Hi, Anna.
afternoon.
Hi, everyone. Yes, it is afternoon. It's 4:04 p.m. here.
Going
What
towards
time
the
is it over
evening.
there? Yeah, 11 o'clock or
Oh yeah. We're a
11.
little bit late today live here on the Plandor YouTube channel. So if you want to catch us live and ask questions while we are having these conversations, uh, come to the YouTube channel. It's Plandor, so Plandore. And we'd love to see you here, chat with us, and interact with us while we are live. And as usual, we use the Saturday episode to recap the week, to look back and see what we talked about and add some more value. And like, if you want to, like, if you missed any of the weekly episodes, the episodes during the week, go back. Like we dive deeper into some of the topics. And today is just high level summarizing some of the key concepts. And because this week was a little bit different. Like Joris is in Europe and he was not here Monday to Thursday. I actually want to, Joris, I want to give you the stage to share your mm, wisdom and your viewpoint. And I'll start with actually go chronologically, like just from Monday to onwards.
Mhm.
And Monday, we touched upon again part of like, productivity and getting things done. And we talked about how to prioritize when everything feels urgent. And you know what it's like as a consultant, as a business owner, like, especially if we don't have a big enough team, a lot of things fall on us. Like we wear so many
Mm.
hats, and it's really hard to focus on the things that really matter when everything feels urgent. And one of the things I shared in the episode was the Eisenhower matrix, where like you have the two axes, right? Like the urgency and importance, and
Mhm.
how we spend a lot of time on the urgent, high urgent, and then ultimately what we want to do is be able to be at a stage where we spend most of our time on what's not urgent but it's important, right? The things that drive
Mhm.
success, drive business success.
The
So
2080 rule. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the 28. I think the two things that help are 2080 rule that we talked about a couple of weeks back. 20% of your tasks that bring 80% of the results. So if everything feels urgent and important, sit down and make a list and identify those 20% that will give you the most results. Everything else either can be reprioritized or deleted. Delete doesn't mean you don't do it. That means you delete it off your plate. You outsource it, you delegate, and yeah, these two things I think would help you when you feel overwhelmed.
uh,
Everything is urgent.
And yeah, deleting one of the things that we rarely think about, right? We a lot of times our thoughts are, oh, what should we do? Like adding more and more and more and more, where sometimes, and actually more times than we think about, it's um, removing is actually what helps. And like you said,
Mhm.
yes, part of it is delegating, but deleting some of the things, and you'll be surprised how many action items, how many tasks you can get rid of, and this will not impact your business. You'll be like, why was I doing this? And
Absolutely.
it's interesting that you mentioned outsourcing because Tuesday
Mhm.
was actually all about hiring versus outsourcing.
Oh, okay. I missed
Yeah.
that one. So enlighten us. I'll catch up. Catch me up.
Yeah, so with hiring versus outsourcing, right? What's the best move, right? Like, do you hire or do you outsource? And one of the key concept is with the core functions. So if it's a core function for the business, hire is the better choice. Mm. And the example that I gave on Tuesday was like, if you are a software development company, you want to have your developers in-house, right? But if you are, um, I don't know, let's say a yoga studio or something, right? Like your core has nothing to do with uh, software development and things like
Or
this.
if you
And
need
then,
a driver, for example, yeah.
yeah, and
Or if you need janitorial services, yeah.
accountants are I think the best example, because most of
Mm-hmm.
us outsource accounting. Like most of us
Mm-hmm.
actually, especially small mid-sized businesses, like we outsource accounting. We just get
Mm-hmm.
an accounting company to do this for us. So this is one of the things, right? One of the differences, like if it's a core function, hire. If it's not core, like you can outsource. And then the other part as well that I mentioned on Tuesday was in terms of how much control you have. So when you hire, you have the control, right? The culture, a lot of things you control. But when you outsource, uh, some of the things you don't control, right? Yeah, you still have some, you have an agreement, like you do provide some input, but ultimately you don't control a lot of the things that are happening within that company that you outsource the work. And the last one that was really important was also in terms of if it's something that is proprietary, or something that you can't give to someone else, right? Like there's some legal restrictions, things like this, then hiring. And of course, hiring is more for long term, and it can be a little bit slower as a process. Outsourcing can be faster, and it can be for
Mm-hmm.
short term, right? Like it can be, and
Mm-hmm.
with outsourcing, you can quickly find consultants or like people who can do the work for you fast. So again, like also thinking about the speed. Do you need something done right now, or something that like you can afford to go through the hiring process and find the right person? Because when you hire, you want to hire for at least a few years, right? Mm, So these were some of the things I mentioned on Tuesday, and like, I'm curious to hear your perspective on hiring versus outsourcing, like what you've seen with like some of the clients you've worked with. Uh, and I know that like as consultants, we end up in situations where we start as consultants, and then at some point it's like, oh, we actually want you to move to full time. So. mm,
Oh, it's happened to me. It happened to me so many times that when I started signing contracts, I told them not to ask me because I would say no already. So yeah, it's
yeah,
one of the ways actually. Uh, you mentioned hiring is tough, and even regardless how much you interview, people prepare for interview. People, I'm not saying they will fib, but they will make sure that the answers match what you're asking at the time. But then when the actual work starts, they could completely be behaving differently.
yeah,
So so one of the ways to test people is it's outsourcing contracting. So you get a contractor. I think they call it the contract to hire.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you sign a 3 month contract. If both sides agree after 3 months, you go to full time. I know this mostly applies to like larger corporations, but it can also work in the short term. For example, you hire somebody, contract out your social media, your website, and all of that, and then after 2 3 months, you realize the person is really, really gaining you a lot of followings. Hire them full time. So that's one way of doing it, but it also, like you've said, it depends on the function, right? You do not outsource your intellectual property. You
yes,
you
yeah, yeah.
hire them. You get lawyers that put a proper contract around it, confidentiality and non-disclosure agreements, and then those work on your core. Plus, um, again, it's a quick. It also depends on your pipeline, right? You hire when you have a steady pipeline. If you have like peaks and lulls, then contracting is better because a lot of contractors have other gigs. When there's a lull, they can reduce their hours. So you'll have to see. It all depends on. I don't think there's good and bad. It's just the right fit. But
Yeah,
you
yeah, of
also need to be
course.
cautious on the downsides of each one of them.
Yeah, that's why we are discussing the pros and cons. Like each one comes with pros and cons, and it's good that you mentioned like the steady pipeline and things like this, because one of the things also is that in general you want to hire um, like you don't hire like you don't want to hire for right now, like, oh, I need someone right now. In general, you want your hiring process to be at a stage where like you actually hire for like 3 to 6 months ahead. So and I love the fact that you mentioned the pipeline. So ultimately looking, like, knowing your business, right, looking at the pipeline, looking at how things are, like the trend, and where things will be in 3 to 6 months from now. You want to hire people for 3 to 6 months from now. You excuse me. So you don't want to hire for right now. Of course, like things happen, right? People leave, so you need to replace people. So uh, again, it's like your business, you know it, but one of the recommendations actually we have is that you want to look ahead, and especially when it comes to hiring, because like we said, it takes time. It takes time for the person to get to know how you do the work, to get into the team, get started, and all these kind of things. So I just wanted to mention this. It came to my mind, and I didn't
Yeah,
touch on this one on Tuesday.
absolutely.
Awesome.
All
Anything
right.
else in terms of hiring and outsourcing?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, moving to Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Wednesday.
It's already Wednesday. See, even now I'm confusing my days. So Wednesday was an interesting day, and the topic was handling difficult conversations with employees.
Mm,
And so some of the things that I mentioned, it's actually, there are two things. So one scenario is where it's a difficult conversation with one person, right?
mm,
And this is where it's one to one. Like you don't do this in front of others. It's a one to one conversation. You sit down and you talk with this person. And then the other scenario is when you need to have a difficult conversation with your team, right? With the
mm,
whole team. Like there's something. It's not related to one person. It's not the performance of one person. There's something about the team. There's something about the company. Sometimes things happen, right? And we are all familiar with global crises and things that impact us that are outside of our control. So, as business leaders, as business owners, unfortunately or fortunately, like we have the responsibility and the pleasure and the honor to have these kind of conversations, have the difficult conversations. So I was wondering, like from your perspective, like, let's start with the one-on-one. When someone is not performing, there's something going on, and I know we talked about a little bit, probably a few weeks ago as well. We touched upon
mm.
some of these things. Like you shared having conversations with someone from your team, and you found out there was something going on with his family and things like
Yeah,
this. So um, yeah, if you want to share, like in terms of giving
yeah.
constructing feedback, for example.
It starts with asking the right questions without invading their privacy. What I would do, I would start with questions about work. Is it work related? Is it client related? Is it company related? Is it inside? Is it about the career? And then you are allowed to ask if none of those, all of those are eliminated, then they're not the core reason. Then you ask if it's outside of work. Is it like coworkers? Is it family? Then you can expand into that. And most of the time, if the person you hired the right person and they do care, then they will open up.
Yeah,
Maybe sometimes they won't give. Some people are proud and they don't want to give up too much, uh, but they will tell you, yes, it is personal. And then you offer what I have done is first offer help if they want help. offer, for example, take a week off, take a month off. We will backfill you until you solve your problems, come back strong. Sometimes they want to stay busy and work, not to think about their problem. So yeah, I think it's 2025. I mean, politics and tricks, and especially you and I, Anna, we don't play games and we don't have these trick things. Open and honest conversation. And like I said, if we hire the right person, then that person will have share the same attitude, same values. It's very simple. Just be open. There's no
Yeah,
need
yeah.
to hide anything or play games. Bless you.
Thank you. uh, yeah, you're right that of course hiring is really important, and when you hire the right people, those difficult conversations are not as difficult as they can be, right? One thing I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, I think I mentioned on Wednesday, was that when having conversation where you're delivering feedback, it's really
Mm-hmm.
important to not attack the person. Like
No accusations.
talk
Yeah.
about the situation. We are
Mm-hmm.
seeing whatever some results. What's going on? Like, don't attack the person saying, "Oh, you're performing badly" and things like this. No, like talk about the situation. We are seeing a decrease in like let's say it's a salesperson. We're seeing a decrease in your closed deals. Like
Mm-hmm.
don't attack the person. Talk about the situation. Talk about what you are
Absolutely.
seeing. But don't say,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, you are performing bad. You. There's something going on with you." Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really really important to
Don't
not.
say, "Oh, you're making too much money," and
Oh
or
yeah,
let's
yeah,
not go down that rabbit hole. Yeah,
absolutely. And
that's good. Uh,
how about for delivering news to the whole team or delivering news to the whole company, right? When you as the
mhm.
leader need to step up in a way that it's something is going on. How do you deliver this kind of having? How do you have this kind of conversation, difficult conversation with your whole company? Or the whole team, right? Depending on how big your company is.
Uh, when it comes to a company, the big bad news would be company's trouble. We have to cut back. We're running out of money, etc. So I would again start on a positive, but deliver the message. Don't beat around the bush, but then follow up the message with the plan. Yes, the company is because if you don't, then first thing that the people will think, oh, so we're going to be sacrificed, right?
Yeah,
Because all the bottom goes, the management is going to protect themselves, blah blah blah. So if you have a bad news to share, have a plan and end the plan with positive. We're doing this, we're doing this, we have made measures. There's a whole bunch of the downsizing, maybe not just we're not downsizing about people, we're downsizing the office, we're cutting costs, we've identified some cost savings. So without going into too much detail, because you can't say much about how the business is running, but yeah, it's delivered with a plan. But then, rip the band-aid.
yeah, spot on. One of the things I actually mentioned when I talked about this one on Wednesday was the example that always comes to my mind is the subway in Toronto, right? And how it stops between stations. And you're in the middle, and some of the stations, like the distance is so long, right? And suddenly the train stops. The worst thing is when there's absolutely no announcement. Like
Silence, yeah.
you just stay there and you're like, what the hell is going on? And people notice, especially when there's something going on with the business in general or the team in general, people notice. Don't think they
Mhm.
don't realize it. And when you
Of
don't
course.
have these difficult conversations, rumors start. And people,
Speculations, yeah.
yeah, the morale goes down. And the best thing is, like, as a leader, people want to know that you know what's going on and you are in control. Like you are there. And Joris, what you said, I have a plan. Absolutely. Another thing you can do is to rally the team up is also work with them to help with the solution, right? To create a sense of ownership. Maybe they can help with the solution, right? And especially when we talk about a small business where even mid-sized businesses, in a small business, everyone is in marketing. We are all marketers for the company, right? Everyone is in
Yep.
sales in a way. So it's really like people can give you a lot of great suggestions when there's something going on. But again, you need to show up as the leader. Stand up and say,
Yep.
this is what it is. Don't sugarcoat it. Like, this is what it is. This is what's going on. You need to be the calm in the center of the storm.
Of course, you have to be the leader as you are. 100, oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I thought I was on mute. Yeah, you
Oh,
have to
no,
be
no,
the
you're not.
leader. You are leading them. A lot of people, they use army as a or navy as an example. If you take the leader away, the army, the unit, the platoon will fall apart. So even at work, it's the same thing. They're looking at you. So yeah, include them in the plans. Include yourself in the plans. Don't just make it look like in the recent case that happened to you, Anna. Don't make it the plan that the company is gonna be safe, but everybody else will lose.
Yes, this is
That doesn't.
this
Yeah.
just came to my mind as well. Take responsibility and accountability as the business owner, as the team lead. Like,
Hmm.
you are accountable and responsible, and whether you like it or not, if you don't like it, stop being a leader. Like, stop managing people and having a business. Take like, the worst thing that can happen is for you to blame something else or someone else without taking full responsibility and accountability.
Hmm.
Yes, there are outside factors. Yes, a few like years ago, we had all these stupid things happening where everything was closed. Uh, Going back with the financial crisis, like 20 years ago almost, right? With all these things, they happen, absolutely. But as a business owner, especially, this is one of the things. If you manage your finances well, for example, like following a system like Profit First, right? This is where you can actually have a very healthy financial situation where you can weather a storm that's like 6 months or even a full year. You can weather something like this. Keep the team, keep the work going, right? So actually, as a business owner, as the leader, take full responsibility. No one respects a leader who blames someone else for the situation that's going on. And yeah,
Yeah.
I have, like you said, recent experience with this where it was blame, 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 and ultimately two corporations in the middle of negotiating a contract, and who was thrown under the bus?
The workers,
The workers.
the
So
team. Yeah.
this is the last thing you want to do. Yeah.
Hmm.
And as you can see, I'm passionate about this.
Hmm. Yep. Oh, totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well,
Mhm. What
Thursday.
else did we talk about?
Thursday. So Thursday was an interesting one. And so switching gears a little bit, let's talk profits. And
Mm.
Thursday was all about ways to increase profits without killing your team, without overworking them, without overwhelming them. And
Mm.
when you think about, like, with the clients we work with, and with any business, when you think about the biggest profit margin killers, like the things that uh, reduce your profits ultimately, one is inefficient work, inefficiencies within your business,
Mm.
wasted time, manual processes, redundant work. These are so some of the biggest profit margin killers. Then underpricing. With a lot of products and services, underpricing. Like, you might be delivering great value at the wrong price point.
Mm.
So this is
Mm.
a big one as well. Now
Um,
with in general, with a lot of companies, like the biggest, again, especially once you have employees, the biggest expense is employees, right? And employee salaries and things like this. And one of the biggest profit margin killers is turnover. Because I think it was 3 times, right? 3 times the annual salary. Like replacing a person costs you 3 times the annual salary of this person.
Yeah, yeah, it's very
And
difficult and expensive.
exactly. And the last one, which is that I mentioned, which is specific for service businesses, right? But it might actually impact product businesses as well. But scope creep, taking on extra work without actually increasing your revenue, right? So this is so these are the main things that impact the profit, that usually reduce profits. So what I was discussing on Thursday was that, okay, if these are the things that reduce your profits, then how do you fix them? How do you, like, for you to actually increase profit margins, how do you make your processes more efficient, right? Remove wasted time and things like this. Look at your pricing. Maybe there is an opportunity to position your services or products as premium offerings, right? Employee turnover, building a culture that people want to stay with you forever, right? How do you do this? Find the right people, keep them, and then the scope creep, like making sure that it doesn't creep. The scope stays. It's okay to do a little bit extra to wow people above the expectations, but you need to monitor this. So thinking about like this topic with how do you increase profit margins without sacrificing your team, right? Without making them work day and night and overwhelming them. Anything that comes to your mind?
Um, there are two aspects you touched on this. One is commodities. If you're selling products and commodities, that is uh, most of most of the time the price is um, dictated by the market. So you don't really have room to wiggle. In that case, what you can do is you increase your volume. Your EBIT is lower, but you increase your volume, so you make more volume on a lower EBIT, you make more money. That's when it comes to commodity because you really can't up your price. You say, "Oh, my electricity is better, so my wood is better." Unless you are a very high level brand, that's a different story. When it comes to services, there are a few ways you can do it. Like you said, scope creep. There are two reasons for scope creep. One is um, when the customer changes plans, which you can stipulate in your contract. The worst one, the more common one that I've come across a lot is when you try to undercut and get a contract, you actually shorten the period and say, I can do this faster. And faster means cheaper, more cost effective. That's when you have scope creep. You can do that to some extent if you have accelerators, if you have a predefined framework, if you have reusable processes that you can rinse and repeat. If you have those, then you can feel confident to undercut the competition and say, I can do this 3 weeks faster. 3 weeks equals to the customer to $15,000. But if you don't have these, then absolutely you will lose your shirt on it.
You're bringing great point that it's profit is too like ultimately profit is revenue minus expenses, right? And like taxes, things like this, we will leave them out of the question. So like you said, you brought a very good point with like when your product or service, especially with products, when it's more of a commodity, then like you said, increasing volume, and then also looking at your processes, like are there ways to actually simplify things to make it more cost effective, right? To and sometimes this means simplifying your team as well, right? If you have a bloated team, and which again, as a business owner, as much as no one likes to have difficult conversations and letting go of people and things like this, it's it's business. It happens. It happens. So, great point that sometimes we are limited by the upside on the how much can we increase prices, but then we can always look at, okay, what's behind the scenes, what's the back end, like can we make it better, what can we do there. So very, very good point.
Yep. All right. What else did we talk about?
Well, yesterday we are Friday. Yesterday together we discussed one very underutilized strategy for bringing people, and it's actually systemizing referrals and the introductions. And I know it's fresh on your mind and on my mind because this is what we chatted about yesterday. So anything there that you want to emphasize on, that you want our listeners to be like, yes, this is it, I could really, really focus on this?
Not really. I'm having a bit of a jet lag moment right now. I'm trying to think what we talked about. Can you cover a little bit before I jump in?
Yeah, so ultimately what I would emphasize is, if your referral or introduction system doesn't exist, like you don't have a system, then like the biggest takeaway is have one. I
The
create one,
system.
like create a
Yeah.
system, like make it, if possible, automate it so you don't forget about it.
Yeah.
Definitely like have it, like it's an underutilized way. If you have happy customers, if you have customers who tell you, I'm so happy I found you, systemize. Go and systemize. Go and create a referral system, an introduction system. And we talked about the differences between referral and introduction, right? How
Yeah.
with a referral, you are asking the person to put his or her neck on the line. With an introduction, you're removing this pressure, and it's just, okay, introduce me to someone similar to
Open a
who,
door.
you just open the door. You don't put your neck on the line. You don't tell them, "Oh, go work with." It's just so it might be good for you to connect, which is a little bit of an easier way to gain access, to have the door open, because we owe it. Recommending something is really like it puts our name there, right? Like we're saying, okay, if I recommend something to you, I am kind of transferring the know, like, and trust factor you have for me to that business or that person. And you can say work with her or with him, and they don't deliver, then it's like, will you trust me the next time I recommend something for you?
Absolutely. You burn two bridges, right?
Yeah, you were. Yeah,
Actually, you
yeah.
end up burning. And we talked about the referrals are so important. You can even use them, trade them with for a discount. You can give especially in the beginning when you're establishing yourself as a brand, as a company for a proven track record, you trade sometimes even for payment. You
Oh,
trade
there are
referral for
ways.
payment. Yeah,
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 yeah.
like you said, systemize it. Yeah.
You can create a structure, like, depending on what kind of mm, business you have, what kind of products and services you offer. You can incentivize people. Absolutely, you can. So one thing is delivering, at least like when we talk about referrals, right, and introduction. So one thing is deliver on the basics, like meet the expectations, and then exceed them, because like, unless you actually wow people, they would not go and recommend you. Like if you just meet the
Absolutely.
expectations, it's like, okay, like it's any other business. I'll go knock to the next door, they do the same thing. So you want to make sure that first you deliver on the basics, like you deliver on the expectations that someone has for a business like yours, and then create wow moments. And after these wow moments, this is where is the best time to ask for referral, for ask for introduction. And then, of course, you can incentivize people. you can add on top of this. So in addition to wowing them with the experience, you can incentivize them, whether it's with some kind of a discount, with a people have referral programs where people can actually earn, like some businesses, like where you can actually earn for everyone who signs up and or buy something. You can actually earn as a referral partner. Like Amazon has this program where you send them customers and they pay you something. And the bigger companies have these things established. And as a small business or mid-sized business, you can do the same. You can establish programs that make sense for you. You can create some kind of a VIP level or something where you treat your people in, like the ones who refer the most, like they might get some more one-on-one time with you or something special. Send them a gift. There are so many ways you can incentivize. And one thing as a business owner, and it's not just for referrals and introductions, but in general, approach everything you experience with the mind of with the mind of oh, okay, how can I apply this to my business, or does it make sense to apply to my business? If you like something, if you see an ad that stops you scrolling, what about it stopped you scrolling? What about it stopped you scrolling? Then maybe this same using similar approach for your own ads will stop people scrolling. And in terms of referrals and introductions, when you refer someone, what about it? Like, what kind of incentive was there that prompted you to refer, right? So think about it. Like when you experience this as a consumer, put your business owner hat and say, okay, as a producer, what about it made me stop? Can I use it for my business?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right.
So yeah, this was actually like we've been going for like almost 40 minutes now. Yeah, it's been
I was
a
gonna
long
say it's
time.
Sunday already. Let people go.
Let people go. Yeah. So this was a recap, and I know we recapped quite a bit. So go and listen to the episodes. Like we dive more focused. They're more focused, and we dive into the topics, into each of those topics, Monday to Friday. So go and listen to them if you have missed them, and join us tomorrow for kicking off a new week. And happy spring, by the way. I don't think we said happy spring. It arrived with snow in Canada, but you know, hopefully it's better in other parts of the world. Anyway.
Oh, my allergies. It's so warm here. My allergies are in full force. I had to purchase antihistamine.
Yeah,
So
one of
I can
the
just stay.
come back
Yeah.
to Canada. It's
I'm
snowing.
coming.
Come
I'm
back to
coming. Oh boy.
Canada.
Oh boy.
Perfect.
It's all
Perfect.
good.
Okay.
All
Enjoy your
right.
Saturday, everyone. Bye.
Bye everyone. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Bye everyone.
Bye.